Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. I read a page that really just pissed me off today, and I want to talk about it here a little bit. I've said this a lot on this channel. One of the reasons that we get screwed is, I'm kidding, I'm doing a video. One of the reasons that you get screwed is when Ford or Chevy or General Motors does something fucked up, instead of saying, oh yeah, that's kind of messed up, we do this thing where we say, you're an idiot. If you bought my preferred brand of car, then you wouldn't have the thing spy on you. And we always do this thing where we shit on the person who got fucked over rather than trying to work together to make sure that people don't get fucked over. And so what am I talking about here? You know, my girlfriend has a robot vacuum, and every time I visit, I throw a towel or some shit on this, I unplug it. Call me paranoid. I just don't like Internet of Things devices with a fucking camera and a microphone that are in my, just no. And I'll include links down below to where these things have been hacked before and people have gone through all the shit. But I have to admit, as much as this thing is, I hate it, it's convenient. It's convenient. You know, I vacuum on a regular, I have cats that like to just fuck up my entire house on a regular basis and destroy everything, and they leave little dust when they do that. There's going to be those people that say, why don't you just clean your own house? And yeah, I do clean my own house. When I get home, I spend now 30 to 40 minutes every time I get home looking for every area that Mr. Clinton has pissed or pooped and tried to hide it because he didn't want to make it to any one of the 4 litter boxes throughout my house, since he has a heart problem, a thyroid problem, and a kidney problem all in one. He's 17 years old. So it would be nice to have something that just does that stuff for me. So after spending 30 to 40 minutes looking for his piss and his poop when I get home, I don't also have to then sweep, vacuum, and mop my house. It's one of these things that's like fundamentally a waste of time. And vacuums have been getting shittier and shittier as I've been getting older. You can buy these vacuums that they're just not made the way they were 20 or 30 years ago. So I figured if I'm going to get another vacuum, I might as well get one that just does it on its own. But I don't want something that spies on me. So I started doing some research to figure out, can I do that? Has there been somebody out there that's made some sort of open source or rooted thing to make it so that the robot vacuum does not have to connect to the manufacturer? And I found this beautiful project called Valetudo. And in order to flash certain vacuums, there's a adapter or PC board. And I found somebody's GitHub that they link to that make this thing. So I start reading it, and it says the repository contains the resources to build the breakout PCB required for the routing of dream vacuums. They're not meant to be sold. If you bought one or are aiming to buy one, you've been scammed by a third party trying to extract value from this project. And I'm just thinking, what do you mean I've been scammed if I wanted to buy the PCB? I'm kind of confused. I highly encourage you not to support such behavior. Like all value extraction, such actions have devastating results. The people selling them do not care about you, the project, the world, or me. In the long term, they made money, and that's all that matters. If you think about it, you're probably here because you dislike those very business practices. Actually, no, I'm here because I want a vacuum that doesn't spy on me. I really don't care if somebody makes $1 or $2 or $5 because they've made that process easier for me as somebody who does not want to get into PCB manufacturing. Therefore, please build a PCB yourself, share it, and learn something in the process, and connect with like-minded people and grow your skill set rather than giving money to people who thrive on trading better futures for instant gratification and personal gain. Is that really trading futures for instant gratification and personal gain? Or is it just, this person has made it easier for me to modify my vacuum so it doesn't spy on me? As a result of them making it easier for me, they get to make $1 or $2 or $5. The amount of time that it will take for me to figure out how to manufacture my PCB is not worth that $2 or $5 or $10 because I have a life and many things going on, and therefore we have an even exchange of value. But that's not it. When you keep reading on, there's more and more lecturing about it that really starts to fucking piss me off as I get through it, because you start to see that little strain of that type of elitism of, if you value your privacy, if you want to have a device that doesn't spy on you, if you want to have some sort of sovereignty over what you own, then you'd better learn all these skills and you better be smarter. It's your fault for not being smarter. Acquiring a PCB. We live in an age where there are many cheap hobbyist PCB manufacturing services. The idea behind the PCB is you just pick one of those, you upload the Gerber file from the releases section, and you order a set of PCBs for yourself. And again, I have no problem if anybody ever wants to do this. If you want to do this, by all means, you should have the option to. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing weird and nerdy. Make your own PCB. But there's nothing wrong with it. When you scroll down, here's the part that just starts to drive me nuts. Why can't I order these and use assembly services from JLC PCB? Because you should learn how to solder. No, really. Soldering is a valuable skill to have in your toolbox, and there's no better way to learn something than being forced to do so while trying to get something else done. This line over here says it all. Similar to what was stated above, this is a conscious decision to filter out people that don't really care about the project but just see it as a means to an end. What the fuck is wrong with having a means to an end? That's how you accomplish anything. What is wrong with somebody saying, I simply want my vacuum to not spy on me? I want my vacuum that is in my house to be mine. There's nothing wrong with that. And we shouldn't be trying to filter out those people, because those people that try this or get excited about this are the people that may actually get excited about PCB manufacturing later, that might actually get excited about doing everything else that you want them to be excited about if you approach them in that way rather than with a lecturing and condescending tone. I can't imagine if I had taken this approach to my board repair videos back in 2013. Would anybody even bothered watching? Some people may really be excited about repair because they really care about PM Sleep S4L's relationship, PM PCH Power OK, or RTC Reset L from U1800 or something. But and then there are some people that may just be interested in it because they like making their customers happy. Or there may be some other people that are just like it because they like making money. If they're providing a repair, and it's a good repair, and it makes people happy, does it really matter? Should I have been filtering people out and only teaching people repair that were the people that truly cared about repairing things, and not if I thought that they were just doing it to run a business? Should I have not been teaching people the repairs that were economically viable or profitable because those are repairs where they could make money, and the people that were making money off repairs may not really be excited about repair? And can I be 100% honest with all of you? I'm not even the most excited about repair. You know what I like about repair? I like when a person has tears coming down their face because they say everybody else said they couldn't get your data and you could. I like when somebody goes, because the Apple Store told them $1,600 and we told them $150. I like solving people's problems. I like helping people that otherwise wouldn't have been helped. I like solving puzzles, and I like kicking bullies in the shins. These three things are a lot of fun, and repair was the vehicle by which I got those things done. The actual reballing of a fucking chip that has 96.25 millimeter balls under it, that's not fun to me. And it never was. It was the means to an end. And there's nothing wrong with achieving that end. I like when my customers are happy. I like when a bully that is lying about something gets kicked in the shins, and I enjoy solving a puzzle. Is it wrong? I have one of the best known component level repair libraries on YouTube. Should that all be discounted because for me it was a means to an end? Does that make those videos any less enjoyable to the people who watch them? Does it make it any less educational? Did it make it any less useful? Now you're starting to lecture people, and this is what starts to piss me off. I know how to solder. I have been soldering since I was 8 fucking years old. I'm pretty damn good at it. I started a business where this is what I do primarily. I trained a team of people to be able to do this type of work, and I find this to be annoying. I'm wondering, why do I find this to be annoying if I know how to do this work? Because there's that implication there that if you want privacy, if you want a device that you own, if you want a sovereign vacuum cleaner that does not have to connect to the internet and you want to use this, you have to do it my way. You can't pay somebody $5 or $10 or $20 to do it for you. That's wrong. You have to learn this skill set in order to have privacy. And why can't I make that choice for myself? And this is one of those things that I talk about when it comes to right to repair in general. When I talk about right to repair, I do not walk up to people that have a 5-year-old phone that broke, that decide to purchase a new one and trade the old one in, and say, you should have fixed that. If you cared about right to repair, you should fix it. No, right to repair is not requirement to repair. It's not twisting your arm into repair. It's not compulsory repair. It's simply right to repair. And when it comes to privacy, and when it comes to sovereignty over what you bought and paid for and sovereignty over what you own, the way that I see it is, it's my choice how I want to get there. I spend my entire fucking day for 15 years of my life soldering until 1 or 2 in the morning. So when I don't have a soldering iron in my house. I'm okay with that. Because when my life was showing up to work and then for 12 or 14 or 16 hours sitting there and fucking soldering in the back room of an office, when I get home, I like to have peace. Some peace. And one of the things that I did just to create that boundary for myself, I don't have a soldering iron in my house. And this may seem crazy to you, but for me, it's the way that I separate my work hobby and in my work, which I just kind of hybrided it there, which is something that I can very easily go down a rabbit hole into being something that I just don't do. And I wanted to see when I bought this, is this something that I'm going to bring to work and make a project? Or is this something that I'm going to try and set up quickly so that I could just cross it off my list? Because the reason that I've been putting off doing this is because I knew that I would have to research how to not make the robot vacuum spy on me, which has resulted in me not doing as much vacuuming. I keep putting off fixing or replacing my old fucked up ass vacuum in the process. And that has just caused my house to be more and more of a mess. And one of the reasons that I've put it off is because there may be some sort of fucking rabbit hole that I have to go down. So when I read this, and there's not only is there a rabbit hole, but there's a lecture for anybody that may want to just trade their money in a capitalist society to somebody else that may want to handle that for them. That's annoying. And again, I'm not saying that he has to be the one that assembles these and sells them and does it himself. I'm not talking about that at all. I completely respect somebody saying, listen, I don't want to do that work, but that's not what this is about. I highly encourage you to not support such behavior. Like all value extraction, such actions have devastating results. These PCBs are not meant to be sold. If you bought one or are aiming to buy one, you've been scammed. It's not about whether or not he wants the device or the product to be sold. He's saying that other people should not purchase or sell them. Unbelievable. Soldering irons are cheap and there are a lot of guides on the internet. It's impossible to be able to buy an $800 robot vacuum but just don't have any more money than to pick up a used $5 soldering iron or visit the local makerspace. So this project can do that because it's entirely luxury fluff. No lives depend on being able to route their vacuum robots as quickly and as with little as friction as possible. This is just a hobby, and if you're planning on picking up a hobby, you need to actually invest effort into that. It's privacy and sovereignty. And I'm going to say something that I think is radical. I think people should be able to have access to privacy and sovereignty regardless of whether they know how to fucking solder. I know how to solder. I don't feel like figuring that shit out. If there's somebody out there that said, here, for $20 or $30, I'll send you the PCB with next day shipping, I would fucking take that over going to a PC board manufacturer. And I have 17 years of experience running one of the best known or small repair companies in the country. This is exactly how you get people to not care about any of this. By having that elitist idea that if you want to be able to have access to these things, that you should learn all the things that I know and you should value all the things that I value. As somebody who values a lot of these same things, I also value having the choice to be able to trade by money for somebody else's time. Because maybe when I'm off the clock, I don't want to think about this shit. Maybe when I'm not in my store soldering, I don't feel like thinking about more soldering. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the reason this bothers me is because of the idea that if you care about privacy or sovereignty and all, that you need to also care about all the things that I do. You need to be a part of this little club. And if you're not a part of the little club, then maybe you just don't deserve privacy or sovereignty over what you bought and paid for. Like, fuck that. And like, I appreciate that somebody made this. And that's the thing that pisses me off now is that just to respond to this, I wind up coming off as an ungrateful person. And I'm not ungrateful for the fact that somebody made this available. I'm thankful that somebody made this available. I'm thankful that the people that programmed this, I think it's a great project and I want to see it do better. And I think that's the thing that bothers me above all else, is that this is a pathway for those types of projects to do better. Because I know if I'm thinking this as somebody who knows how to solder, who's gone through 5 or 10 layer Apple motherboards trying to dig out the short, who's stayed in his office until 4 or 5 in the morning for 6 or 7 years doing board repair live streams, if I'm the type of person that's looking at this and thinking, yeah, let me just see if I can buy this somewhere, and I'm aggravated by this rant, how many other people out there who are not as techie as I am, who have not written a fucking 900-page manifesto on how to self-host everything in your life to disconnect from other people's servers, how many of those people are going to be turned off to this and say, fuck this, I'm not doing it at all? Privacy and digital sovereignty and ownership is not an elitist thing. And it's not a niche thing. And while I like people getting into the hobby, one of the worst ways to get people into the hobby is to lecture them and to twist their arm and make them feel like they're not really worthy of it or deserving, or to make them feel like they're bad or they got scammed if they made a consensual decision to trade 20 of their dollars for somebody else's time. That's what you're paying for. There's no scam. If somebody took this PC board, made the PC board, and sold it to somebody, that's not bad. And this is the thing, like, not all capitalism is a scam. Yes, I get it. There are lots of CEOs out there that are complete psychopaths. The reason that we're even in a situation where we have fucking robot vacuums that spy on you and steal your data, that don't get patches because they don't feel like sending an operating system update to something they sold 6 months ago, is because of hyper psychotic people that want to make as much money as possible. But then we go to the other extreme. This is what my personal trainer talks about all the time, about how human beings are really bad at balance. Then you go to the other extreme, where somebody wants to make a couple of dollars to make it easier to just grease the wheels to get somebody else who may not feel fully ready yet to solder and have their own PCBs manufactured and learn what a fucking Gerber file is and all that other stuff, to be able to modify their vacuum, and you're sitting there lecturing them over it. When I was writing this thing at the expense of 3 months of my life at the end of 2024, the last thing that I was thinking about was trying to lecture people to get them involved. I want them to find it fun, and if other people are willing to try and make it easier for them by making the things that they may not be willing to make yet, or that they just may have this mental block towards, then that's totally okay. The last thing that bothers me about this is when you're talking about the rungs in the ladder to getting people excited to do this type of stuff. A lot of people, they don't want to just dive into the deep end immediately. There are a lot of people that may want to modify their vacuum, that don't know what a Gerber file is, that don't want to have their own PCB manufactured. But if you send them the PCB, they might be willing to fuck with it. And once they're done with that, they may be willing next time, for the next device they modify, to actually learn what a Gerber file is and actually get their own PCB manufactured. It's one step at a time. Once you've had the dopamine kick from taking a component off the motherboard and putting it back and it still works, wow. Now let me try replacing one that's broken. Once you have the dopamine kick of, wow, I replaced the part that's broken and I fixed it, now you may be ready to diagnose what's wrong yourself instead of just fix something that somebody else has diagnosed for you. There are these levels to learning, and that's what bothers me. You have to get that little kick of dopamine from doing something at this level to be excited to do this level or this level or that level or that level. And the way that you keep it a small club is by saying, well, if you're not willing to do this part yet, then you can't do this, this, or this either. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that I'm overreacting here? Or do you think that there is this sort of open source elitism that winds up pushing people to Google, Apple, Microsoft products, vacuums that spy on you, TVs that spy on you, and everything else? Because as somebody that's trying to get more people to adopt this stuff and be excited to use it, one of the number one barriers I see to all of it are the people that are actually creating the tools, often, sometimes without even realizing it, come off in the most hostile possible way to the people that would be the most excited users and evangelists of their own tools. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.